While I was deployed, my family tried to get me kicked out of the army, and my brother slept with my wife to help them. They left me at 17 with a note that said, "You'll be fine, the army feeds you." 12 years later, when I finally made rank and went viral, they came back to collect. I didn't grow up thinking my worst enemy would be my own family. You expect it to be the guy shooting at you from a mud wall at 200 meters, or the IED team watching your convoy through a cracked window. You don't expect it to be the people who taught you to ride a bike, who yelled at you to tuck in your shirt for church, who said they were proud the day you put on a uniform. But here we are. My name's Staff Sergeant Ethan Cole, United States Army, 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment. At least, that's the version of me people see online. The one they invited on podcasts. The one who got clipped and reposted on military TikTok with captions like "he raised himself" and "proof you can break the cycle." That interview is the reason my family found me again. That interview is the reason all of this started. So if you want the truth, if you want the version I'd post on Reddit if this account wasn't tied to my real name, here it is. This is how my family sabotaged me after I made it out. This is how they almost got me kicked out of the army. This is how I found out my own brother slept with my wife while I was deployed. And this is how I decided I was done being the disposable son. I was 17 when my family left me. Not we moved to another state and forgot to text. Not we drifted apart. I mean, I came home from JROTC summer training, and the house was empty. No couch, no TV, no junk drawer, no pictures on the wall. Just a note on the kitchen counter in my dad's handwriting. "You'll be fine, the army feeds you." That's it. Not "we love you." Not "call us." Not even "sorry." Just this assumption that because I was the tough kid, the one who could run 5 miles and do push-ups and talk about enlistment, I'd survive. My parents, Roy and Denise, and my older brother Tyler had packed up, turned in the keys, and left Killeen, Texas, without me. No forwarding address. No number. No good luck. The landlord was the one who told me they'd terminated the lease a week early. I remember standing there in the kitchen, duffel bag still on, uniform sweated through from the bus, staring at that note. I remember this feeling I couldn't even name back then. Not anger. Not yet. It was more like confirmation. Like, oh, right. I really was the extra one. People always ask, "Didn't you have friends?" I did. I stayed on the couch for 3 nights. 4th night, I was out of favors. So I did what every broke, proud, 17-year-old future soldier does. I rented a storage unit for $50 a month, slept on the floor with a hoodie for a pillow, and showered at the YMCA before school. I ate peanut butter out of the jar. I did homework in the public library. And I doubled down on the only plan I had left. Get into the army as fast as humanly possible. No parents meant no consent for under 18, so I worked 2 jobs until I turned 18, then walked into the recruiter's office with my birth certificate, high school diploma, and anger. Infantry. Option 40 if I can get it. The recruiter looked at my address field, blank, then at my face. I think he knew. He didn't ask any dumb questions. He just said, "You get the test scores and stay clean, I can fight for it." So I did. I crushed the ASVAB, passed MEPS, and shipped to OSUT in Georgia 4 months later with 1 duffel bag and no one to hug me goodbye. No one wrote me in basic. No one sent me a single damn letter. Do you know how stupid you feel on mail day, watching other guys read words from girlfriends and moms and dads while you just sit there shining boots? But I told myself, it's fine, man. They didn't want you. So stop wanting them. I'm not trying to sound hard, but it's true. Combat was simpler than childhood. In Afghanistan, I knew who the enemy was. In training, I knew the standard. In Ranger school, I knew if I didn't perform, I would be recycled. Back home at 17, I could give my dad my whole paycheck and still get told I was ungrateful. I could tutor Tyler, and he'd still call me annoying. I could make my mom dinner, and she'd call it clumpy. I didn't realize until later that they'd always used me like that. The useful son, not the loved son. I was the one who could be left behind because I could handle it. So I handled it. I graduated, went to airborne, got picked up, and by 22, I was on my 3rd deployment. I wasn't special, but I was reliable. I learned fast. I volunteered. I shut up and did the work. NCOs like that. I promoted. Somewhere in there, I also tried to build a life. Her name was Haley. Met her at a barbecue off-post. Brown hair, Texas girl, nurse. She liked that I was disciplined, that I had goals, that I wasn't like the guys still chasing beer and fights every weekend. We married fast, like a lot of us do. I was 24, she was 23, I was deploying again, and we both said stuff like, "We can't keep waiting for the perfect time." We did a courthouse wedding because her family couldn't travel, and mine didn't even know. If you're wondering, no, I didn't invite them. If you're wondering more, no, they didn't reach out. From 17 to 29, 12 years, I heard nothing. Not one call, not one message, not one birthday. "We miss you." So I got used to this idea that family is something you build, not something you're born into. I poured everything into the army. I reclassed. I got schools. I got my Ranger tab. I did some JSOC support. I stacked up awards I never posted online because I wasn't doing it for Insta. I just wanted to never be that kid in a storage unit again. By 29, I had savings, VA benefits, investments, a truck paid off, and a small house near JBLM. I started a side business teaching transitioning soldiers how to do resumes and talk to civilians. Nothing crazy, just me with a laptop, coffee, and a plan. I was proud of myself. And that's when the past saw me and said, "Hey, remember us?" Here's how it happened. A buddy of mine from battalion got out and started a military mental health podcast. Like those vet talks about trauma, but also finances shows. He knew a bit of my story, not all of it. He asked me to come on and talk about being cut off from family, but still serving. I said yeah. I figured maybe some 19-year-old kid at Benning needed to hear it. So I told it. I told them about the empty house. About the note. You'll be fine, the army feeds you. About showering at the YMCA. About joining just to eat. I didn't name names. I didn't say Roy or Denise or my brother Tyler. I kept it respectful. I even said, I don't hate them, I just moved on. The episode blew up. Apparently soldiers who got abandoned are not as rare as you'd think. The clip hit 1 million views in 4 days across TikTok, IG, and even Facebook. People duetted it. Wives tagged their husbands. "This is you, babe." Guys messaged me. "Bro, I thought I was the only one." For the first time in my life, I was seen for the thing I survived. And then, like a bad horror movie, the people who caused it started calling. First an email. Subject line. "We saw your interview." From Denise.Cole, my mother. I stared at it for a long time. I was in the barracks office doing paperwork, Hulu paused on my computer, and I just stared. Here's the body burned in my brain. "Ethan, we didn't know how to reach you. We saw what you said. We're still your parents. Maybe we can talk now that you've had time to cool down. Love, Mom. Love, Mom. After 12 years. No, I'm sorry we left you. No, what you said is true. Just, now that you've cooled down." I didn't answer. Next day, I got a Facebook friend request from Tyler Cole. I sat there wondering if I should accept. I clicked his profile, married, 2 kids, living in Oklahoma now. He looked ordinary. Dad gut, beer in hand. His bio said family first. I almost threw my phone. I accepted anyway. He messaged within 2 minutes. "Bro, I can't believe that was you. I've been looking for you for years. Mom cried when she saw it. Can we talk? A lot has happened." I held the phone, thumb over the keyboard. What I wanted to write. "You watched them leave me and did nothing." What I wrote. "What changed?" He replied in under an hour. "Seeing you tell it like that. I was only 16. I didn't have a say. I always wondered about you. Mom and Dad are older now. Things are hard here. Would be good to be a family again." And there it was. Things are hard here. I didn't answer. I figured, I need to talk to someone who isn't emotionally drunk on this. So I did what I always do when stuff gets heavy. I went to see Carson, the behavioral health counselor on post that everyone jokes about going to but no one admits they go to. I showed him the emails. He said, "Take a week. Don't answer while your nervous system is lit up. You're not obligated to repair what they broke." So I waited. And while I was waiting, my life decided it wasn't messy enough. I said the story was about family sabotaging me, and it is, but the wife piece is the part that made me easy to target. Because when your home is solid, you don't go looking for ghosts. When your marriage is good, you don't pick up the phone when a toxic mom calls. But when you're already cracked, one more hit and you're dust. I was on a short training rotation, nothing crazy, not even combat, when I got a call from a number I didn't know. "Is this Sergeant Cole?" "Yeah. This is Specialist Ramirez from 3rd Platoon." I don't know how to say this, man, but I thought you should know. I've seen your wife on base with a guy who looks a lot like the picture you posted once of your brother." I pulled the phone away, stared at it. "My brother?" "Yeah, man. Looked like that. At the PX. Holding hands." I laughed. I actually laughed. "My brother lives in Oklahoma." "Roger, Sergeant. Just thought you should know." I hung up. I called Haley. No answer. I texted. "Where you at?" She replied 5 minutes later. "Base exchange." "Why?" I said. "With who?" No answer. Then, a friend. "Why are you being weird?" I called again. This time she picked up, but the noise was crazy. Kids, overhead announcements, someone laughing. "Hey," she said. "Send me a pic," I said. "What?" "Send me a pic right now of who you're with." "No. Ethan, what the hell? Just do it." The call went dead. 5 minutes later I got a text, not from her, from Tyler. "Hey, surprise, I'm on post. We wanted to surprise you. Haley said you're training. We'll swing back later." My heart actually stopped. I hadn't told him what base I was at. I hadn't told him what state I was in. Haley had. And not only had she told him, she'd invited him. To my base. After 12 years of silence. Without telling me. I called her again. She didn't pick up. That night I came back to base housing hot. She was in the kitchen, acting like everything was normal. My brother, taller than me, beard now, heavier, was on the couch playing with our dog like he lived there. "Ethan," he said like we were frat boys. "Dude." I didn't hug him. I looked at Haley. She said, "I wanted it to be a surprise." I said, "You invited the family that left me?" She said, "They reached out to me. Your mom found me on Facebook." She seemed genuine. I didn't want to bring it up because I knew you'd shut it down. I thought if you saw them. If I saw them, I'd what? Forget living in a storage unit. Her eyes filled with tears like I was the one being unfair. Tyler stood up, hands up, peacemaker mode. "Bro, chill. We came all this way. How did you get on post? Haley sponsored me. I looked back at her. You brought a stranger, because that's what he is, onto a military installation without telling me? He's your brother. No. He's a man who watched me get abandoned. Silence. That was the first time in 12 years Tyler looked guilty. He said, Dad said you wanted to stay. Don't, I said. Don't you dare say that. He shut up. I told him, you got a hotel? He hesitated. We thought we'd maybe crash. No, I said. You're not staying here. Haley looked pissed now. Ethan, that's ridiculous. He's family. He's a stranger. He can meet me off post tomorrow if he wants. Tyler looked between us like he was watching a tennis match. Finally, he said, it's fine. I'll grab a room. He left. As soon as the door shut, Haley blew. You embarrassed me. You went behind my back. They're your parents. They abandoned me. They said they were in a bad spot. Your mom cried when she called me. They want to make it right. Did they tell you they left me a note that said, you'll be fine, the army feeds you? She blinked. They said you were joining anyway. Yeah, because they left. We argued for an hour. She kept saying, this is what healing looks like she'd watched 2 TikToks on trauma and was an expert. What I didn't know yet, and what would make everything worse, was that my mother had already gotten to her. Next morning I met Tyler at a diner off post. Neutral ground, public place. I chose the table facing the door out of habit. He came in wearing a worn-out veteran ball cap, even though he'd never served. That already annoyed me. He hugged me. I patted his back once, stiff. Dude, he said, sitting. You look good. Like officer good. Not an officer. Should be, he said. We ordered. Made small talk. Whether his kids, my deployments. Then, right on schedule, because this is how people like my parents operate. He brought up money. He said it like this. Mom didn't want to say this to you herself because she's embarrassed, but things have been really tight since Dad's knees went out. He can't do construction anymore. They lost the house. Medical bills. You know how it is. I leaned back. There it is. Why now? I asked. He looked confused. What? Why now? I repeated. Why reach out now that I have rank? Now that 1 million people saw my story? Why not when I was in basic? Why not when I was sleeping on a storage unit floor? He swallowed. We didn't know. Dad said you were staying with friends. That you wanted to be independent. You were 16. You had a phone. I was a kid. You were old enough to text me. He dropped his eyes. I didn't know your number, he said, weak. You could have asked the landlord. You could have asked literally anyone. He was quiet. Then he said the real sentence. Look, man, if there's any way you could help them a little, just to get them back on their feet. I actually laughed. There it is, I said. It's not like that. It's exactly like that, I said. You didn't find me because you missed me. You found me because I went viral. He looked offended, like I'd hurt him. That's the thing about people raised in manipulation. They truly believe their angle is noble. He said, family helps family. I said, family doesn't leave teenagers alone in houses and move to another state. His face crumpled. I didn't have a say. You've had 12 years to have a say. We finished breakfast in silence. Before we parted, he said, Mom wants to see you. I said no. He said, she said she'll come to your house if you don't. I said, if she tries to get on post, I'll have her escorted off. I meant it, but I underestimated one thing. They weren't going to fight me directly. They were going to go around me. Through my wife. Through my chain of command. If you've never had family try to sabotage your military career, let me tell you how it looks. It does not start with some dramatic showdown in the commander's office. It starts with small, annoying, plausible things. A week after that breakfast, my first sergeant called me in. Cole, he said, holding a printout. You got family trying to contact the unit? My stomach dropped. What? He handed me the paper. It was an email sent to the battalion inbox from Denise.Cole. To whom it may concern, I am the mother of Staff Sergeant Ethan Cole. We have been estranged due to his mental health struggles. I am concerned he may be speaking about the Army publicly without authorization and portraying the service in a negative light. We are trying to get him help, but he has cut off contact. Can someone reach out to discuss? Sincerely, Denise. I stared at it, stunned. My mother, the woman who literally abandoned me, had written to my command to say I had mental health struggles and was publicly speaking against the Army. Do you realize how dangerous that is for an NCO? Do you realize how fast that can get you tagged as a problem? First Sergeant watched my face. What's this about? I told him the truth. Everything. Empty house. Storage unit. Podcast. Reappearance. He listened, leaning back. Then he said something I'll never forget. Cole, I've seen this before. Not the abandonment, that's cold as hell. But the reappearance? The we're worried about him emails? It's always when soldiers start doing well. He called the commander in. I retold it. They both actually believed me. I got lucky there. A different command team might have gone. Well, if your own mom says. But they said, document everything. Don't respond to her. We'll handle it on our end. You just keep your nose clean. I walked out of there shaking. I called Haley. She picked up on speaker while driving. You tell my mom to email your unit? I asked. Silence. Haley. I just said you were really busy and probably couldn't call her back. She said she'd find a way. Did you give her my commander's name? She asked who you reported to. Haley. Ethan, she's your mom. She wants to make it right. She almost made me look unstable. She said you cut them off. They cut me off. You keep saying that, but you never told me their side. And you believe theirs over mine? This was our pattern now. Me facts. Her feelings. Here's what I didn't know yet. My mother had told Haley that I was lying. That I'd left home angry. That I'd always had issues. That I ran to the army to avoid responsibility. She said it crying, probably. My mother is very good at crying. So Haley believed her, or wanted to. Because admitting your husband's family is that cruel means admitting he really did come from nothing. And that's scary for some people. They'd rather believe there's a misunderstanding than accept they married someone whose own parents would sell him out. The army shut down the first email. So my parents escalated. They messaged the brigade chaplain. Then they sent a letter to IG claiming I was profiting off the army by telling lies online. They attached the podcast. It became a whole thing. I had to go in, explain, show that I didn't leak classified, that I never disparaged leadership, that I was telling my story, not army secrets. They tried to get me in trouble with the government I served, to force me to talk to them. Up to this point, you could still call this a family reconciliation gone wrong. What turned it into straight-up sabotage was two things that happened back to back. I refused to send them money. I found out about Haley and Tyler. Let's start with the money. After the army angle failed, my dad, who I hadn't heard from at all, finally emailed. Son, your mother tells me you're doing well. We are proud of your service. We fell on hard times. Your brother has helped us as much as he can. Since you have made it so big, we ask that you help the family that raised you. Your mother has hospital bills. We are facing eviction. Send what you can. Dad, no apology. No acknowledgement. Just you owe us. I forwarded it to Carson. He called me right away. Don't send it, he said. I know. Say no once and see how they react. That'll tell you if this is love or leverage. So I emailed back. I'm glad you're alive. I am not in a financial position to support you. I wish you well. Ethan, I am, in fact, in a financial position. But I am not in an emotional one. His reply came 10 minutes later. We drove 1,200 miles to see you, and you turned us away at the gate. We sacrificed everything to raise you. You're being selfish. I blocked him. That night, I went home, poured a drink, sat on the balcony trying to breathe it out. Haley came out. What's wrong? Nothing. Ethan. My dad called me selfish. She hesitated. Well, you could help a little. I looked at her. You too. They're your parents. They're con artists. They're old. So was I when they left me. She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. And that's the moment I realized something ugly. She didn't love the broken kid in a storage unit. She loved the staff sergeant with a house. And my family had figured that out. 2 days later, I got proof. I was in the gym on post when Ramirez, the same specialist who'd called me before, walked up. Sergeant Cole. Yeah. He glanced around. I didn't want to get in the middle, but I saw your wife again. With your brother. At Applebee's in town. They weren't acting like in-laws. I stared at him. You sure? Yeah. I'm sorry, Sergeant. I left mid-workout. Drove off post. Parked in the far corner of the restaurant lot. And there they were through the window. Haley and Tyler, sitting on the same side of the booth, his hand on her leg under the table. I watched them laugh. I watched her look at him like she used to look at me. And I felt this mix of rage and inevitability. Of course. Of course they got to her. Of course, they convinced her I was the cold one, the stubborn one, the ungrateful one. Of course, they offered her what I couldn't. A family that actually wanted to talk to her. I didn't storm in. I sat there. I took pictures. I took video. I sent it to myself so I'd have timestamps. Then I drove home and waited. She walked in an hour later, smiling. Hey babe, where were you? Target. Try again. She froze. Then the lies started. Okay, I met your brother. We were just talking. He wanted to understand you better. Under the table? What? His hand. Her eyes widened. You followed me? You cheated on me. We didn't. Don't, I said. You picked them over me. She switched to tears. He said you lied about everything. He said you were the one who left. He said you've always made yourself the victim. That's when it clicked. My family didn't just want money. They wanted to rewrite history. They wanted the world to think I was the runaway son who was now exploiting them. And Haley believed it. So I did the thing I never thought I'd do. I threw my own wife out. Go stay with them, I said. Since you like their version so much. She packed a bag crying, saying I was ruining our marriage, that I was choosing old wounds over healing. She left. I sat in the empty house. And I realized I was right back where I started. No family. No wife. Just me. Except this time I had rank, money, a lawyer, and a whole lot less patience. You can only get kicked in the face so many times before you stop playing nice. I called a jag I knew, we'll call him Mason, and laid it all out. The abandonment. The emails to command. The financial demands. The stalking. The wife. He whistled. This is some Lifetime movie stuff, he said. But yeah, man. You can handle this. Can I get a restraining order on my own parents? Yep. Especially with them showing up on post and involving your chain. Even more if they're recruiting your wife to get access. Can I get one on my brother? Yep. Can I divorce my wife on grounds of adultery, even if I didn't catch them in the act? With that video? Yep. So we did it. We filed for divorce. We filed for a civilian protective order off post. We notified base security not to let Roy, Denise, or Tyler Cole on. We documented every email and every call. I also finally did what I'd been avoiding. I told command the whole story, including the cheating, so they'd hear it from me, not some tearful wife later. To their credit, they backed me. Do what you have to do, Cole, my CO said. We've got you. But my family was not done. They showed up at the gate anyway and told the guard they were worried I was suicidal. You want to get a soldier in trouble fast? Tell his command he's suicidal. It triggers real responses, wellness checks, evaluations, sometimes 911. They weaponized mental health protocols against me. I got a knock on my door from MPs doing a health and welfare because concerned family had called. I let them in. I was calm. I showed them the paperwork, the emails. They shook their heads. Sorry, Sergeant. We got to do the check. I said, I know. Do your job. After they left, I sat on the floor and laughed. It wasn't funny. It was just absurd. My parents hadn't talked to me in 12 years. Then I went viral. Then they tried to get me in trouble with the U.S. Army. Then they stole my wife. This wasn't reconciliation. This was a hostile takeover. Abusers, and that's what my parents are, have this one move they love. Family matters should stay in the family. Translation: don't tell people what we did. Don't get outside help. Don't bring in the law. Don't bring in the army. Don't break the silence that lets us keep playing victim. When I refused to play by those rules, they escalated. First, letters. To my house. To the unit. To my friends. All with the same theme. He's lying about us online to get attention. We never abandoned him. He left. Then social media posts. My mother posted an old photo of me at age 5 on Facebook with the caption, "Please pray for our son Ethan. He has cut us off due to PTSD and is telling untrue stories about us. We love him and want our boy back." People from their church commented, "So sorry, Denise. Keep trying." Sometimes military changes them. They were building a narrative. But the worst was this. While the restraining order request was pending, my parents drove to Haley's sister's house, where they knew she was staying, and took Haley and Tyler's picture with my dog, and sent it to me with the caption, "This is real family." I sent it straight to Mason. He said, "Good. Let them keep doing this. They're stacking evidence for us." Then, like in your script, it turned from emotional warfare to actual stalking. They started following me off post, parking across from my house, leaving flowers with notes like, "We know where you are," texting from random numbers, "You don't get to erase us," calling from blocked numbers, leaving voicemails crying, "I'm your mother." One night, I was on my couch watching Netflix when I heard a car door slam. I looked through the peephole. Roy, my father, the man who never came to a single award ceremony. He pounded on my door. "Ethan, open up. This is ridiculous." I called the cops. He heard me and yelled, "You calling the police on your own father?" "Yep." He left before they got there. That was the moment I realized restraining orders aren't for dramatic people. They're for people like me whose families don't accept no. We went to court. I wore my class as. My parents showed up looking small and pitiful. My mom with a tissue, my dad in his worn boots, both playing the "we're just old and sad" role. The judge asked why I was seeking protection. I told him, clearly like a mission brief. Abandoned at 17. No contact 12 years. Viral interview. Contacted my chain of command falsely about mental health. Attempted to get on military installation after being denied. Contacted my spouse to bypass me. Convinced my brother to pursue my wife. Showed up at my residence. Harassing texts and letters. The judge turned to them. "Did you abandon him at 17? My dad started with, "We were in a bad financial." Judge cut him off. "Did you leave him in a residence and move to another state?" Silence. My mom cried. "We knew he'd be fine," she said. "He was joining the army." The judge looked pissed. He granted the order. 1 year. No contact. No showing up. No third-party messages. Outside the courtroom, my dad muttered, "You'll regret this." I said, "I regretted being your son a long time ago." They left. I thought maybe, that would be the end. It wasn't. Here's the part one hate telling because it still makes my stomach twist. A week after the order, while I was at PT, I got a text from an unknown number. It was a picture of Haley, now my almost ex, walking our dog in the park. Caption: "Nice dog. You sure you want your business out there?" Then another: "Drop the lies. Take down the interview. Or we tell your command you hit your mother." I never hit my mother. Ever. Not even when I wanted to. I called Mason. He said, "They're trying to bait you. Don't respond. Forward everything." That same day, my CO called me in again. "Cole, your parents called brigade." I laughed. "What now?" "They said you threatened them with a firearm." "What?" He shrugged. "We told them to contact local PD if they felt threatened. They don't realize they're hurting you more than helping themselves." I left feeling like I was walking through molasses. I went home. Sat at my table. Looked at the note I'd kept from 17. Yeah, I kept it. The "You'll be fine, the army feeds you" one. I keep it in a file labeled reasons. And I said out loud to no one, "I'm done." Not "I hope they stop." Not "I wish this was over." Done. I wrote them an email. Short: "You will meet me tomorrow, 1400 at the Starbucks on Main. Just you two." No, Tyler. After that, you never contact me, my wife, my command, or anyone associated with me again. If you do, I will send all evidence of what you did to everyone in your church, your landlord, and the local newspaper. You do not own this story. I do. Ethan. Mason would have told me not to, but I didn't tell him. This wasn't about the law anymore. This was about taking my narrative back. They replied in 5 minutes. We'll be there. Mom. You ever walk into a room and feel 12 and 31 at the same time? That's what it felt like. Starbucks was half full. College kids. A couple soldiers. Baristas who didn't care about my trauma. I picked a table in the back where I could see the door. They walked in together. My dad looked smaller than I remembered. My mom looked older. They both looked mortal. Not the monsters from my nightmares. Just two people who made vile choices and never thought they'd face the adult version of the kid they hurt. My mom started with, Ethan, honey. No, I said. You don't get honey. Sit. They sat. I put my phone on the table, screen up. My dad scowled. You recording us? No. But I sent everything you sent me to multiple people. If anything happens to me, it all goes out. I want you to understand I am not 17 anymore. You cannot corner me. My mom sniffed. We just wanted to talk. You wanted money. We wanted our son back. You wanted access to what I built without you. Silence. My dad said, we were in debt. We couldn't feed 3 mouths. You fed none, I said. You didn't reach out. You didn't tell me. You didn't ask for help. You left. We thought the army would take care of you. It did, I said. I did. My mom cried. We've been telling people we lost you. It hurts so much. I actually laughed. You didn't lose me. You threw me away. And now that I crawled out of the trash and made rank, you want to claim me. My dad leaned forward, angry now. You owe us respect. I owe you nothing, I said quietly. Not after what you did. And then you tried to get me in trouble with my command? You contacted my wife? You slept with her. We didn't make her do that, my dad said, smug. Maybe she just wanted someone who didn't talk back. My vision went white. Tell me you didn't just say that, I said. He shrugged. You want to make us the villains, but maybe you weren't the easiest son. And maybe you weren't parents. I took a breath. This is how this is going to go, I said. You're going to go back to Oklahoma, or wherever you live now, and you are never going to contact me again. You are never going to contact Haley again. You are never going to contact my unit again. You are never going to tell people I abandoned you. Because if you do, I will tell every single person who thinks you're godly that you left a 17-year-old alone in an empty house with a note. I will send them the picture of you at my door after the restraining order. I will send them the emails where you threatened to tell my command I hit you. I will even send them the video of your golden boy son with my wife. My mom gasped. You filmed. I documented, I said. Because I learned from you. I learned people lie. I learned people change the story. I learned people pretend they didn't do what they did. My dad tried a new angle. We're getting old. You want us to die alone. You should have thought about that before you made me grow up alone. My mom whispered, we love you. No, you don't, I said. You love what I can do for you. I stood. This is your last chance, I said. Break the order again, and I press charges. Contact my command again, and I go full public. I have 1 million people who watch me tell my story. They will believe me. They already do. And I will use that. Don't make me. I walked out. I didn't look back. In the parking lot, I finally exhaled. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't panicking. I wasn't waiting for their approval. I just felt done. Here's the part of these stories people don't tell you. Nothing magical happens after the confrontation. Your parents don't dissolve in a puff of shame. Your ex doesn't become faithful. Your brother doesn't beg on his knees. Life just continues. I still had to go to PT the next morning. I still had to file divorce paperwork. I still had to block numbers, report violations, send updates to Mason. But there were changes. They stopped contacting my unit. My CO said he hadn't heard from them since. They stopped showing up. No more cars outside. No more flowers. They stopped posting about me publicly, at least where I could see. A month later, Mason called. They signed an agreement, he said. Through their lawyer. They'll respect the order. They're scared you'll go public. Good. As for Haley, the divorce went through. I didn't nuke her. I could have with the video, but I didn't. I let her go attach herself to Tyler and my parents. She texted once months later. I made a mistake. No, you didn't. You just showed me where you'd rather be. As for Tyler, he sent a long Facebook message. I know you hate me. I was in a messed up place. They told me you were lying. They told me she was lonely. I shouldn't have slept with her. I shouldn't have gone to your command. I shouldn't have let them talk me into it. I want to fix it. I didn't answer. Because here's what I learned. You can forgive people without letting them sit at your table. You can understand why they did it and still not let them back in. You can love from a distance. I built my own family. Not with blood. With people who showed up before I was Staff Sergeant Viral Podcast. Guys from my first unit who let me crash in their spare room back when I was in E3. A retired Master Sergeant who helped me refinance my truck. Ramirez, who could have stayed out of it but told me when he saw something off. Carson, who never once said call your mom, but always said protect your peace. My platoon, my actual unit, the one that would have gone to war with me, not written to my CO about me. I started hosting Sunday dinners. Nothing fancy. Just spaghetti, beer, football. Soldiers who couldn't go home. A couple who'd lost their parents. A female NCO whose dad disowned her for joining. We sat on my floor and ate like we'd known each other forever. I realized, this is family. Not the people who share your last name. The people who don't weaponize your trauma. The people who don't email your commander. The people who don't sleep with your wife. The people who, when you say, I can't send them money, say, good. You don't owe them. 6 months later, I got another letter forwarded through Mason, so they wouldn't have my address. It said, we know we hurt you. We didn't understand what we were doing. We will respect your wishes. We hope you will forgive us one day. Mom and Dad. I put it in the reasons folder. Not because I wanted to keep it, but because I wanted to remember. They only respected me when I had power. When I was 17 in a storage unit, they didn't care. When I was 31 with rank, a house, a lawyer, and a million people on the internet. Suddenly I was worth apologizing to. That's it. That's the whole thing. Not pretty. Not, we hugged and cried and all is well. Just boundaries. Consequences. And growth. Do I regret going on that podcast? No, because their reaction didn't expose me. It exposed them. If your parents run to your command to try to paint you as unstable because you told the truth, if your brother will sleep with your wife because your parents said you're lying, you didn't break that family. You just stopped covering for it.